Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to another episode of Media Matters by Anfield Index. The season is drawing to a close. It's crazy to say it is the last week, the last game, the title lift on Sunday, and yet off the field, there's about 80 million things going on. And here to walk through it all with me is the well-known David Lynch. David, it's just busy across the board right now, isn't it?
Yeah, which is nice, I guess. Loads to look forward to in terms of the title lift and kind of these, three of the four parties out the way now, and then the big ones coming on Sunday, and it's all ramping up in the transfer market as well. So looks like you're going to be in for a much busier summer, which is exciting, and loads to talk about around that. So that's great. And yeah, it's just a good time for Liverpool, isn't it? I know they can't win a game anymore, which is a consequence of wrapping the league up early, but yeah, it's all really positive because if you're champions and you're going into a summer where you know the squad's going to really be strengthened well, then it's it's an exciting time for Liverpool supporters, I'd say.
Yeah, and the travelling cop were in fine voice last night at the Amex. It was the atmosphere may be better than the game, but did it really matter? I'm not sure it did too much. But we should talk about a few things that we got from last night. I mean, there's limited analysis you can do of it, but what were your thoughts on the overall performance and what we served up last night?
Yeah, I thought not too bad, really, considering kind of the levels of motivation for both sides. I mean, Liverpool's preparations for the game were kind of, being on holiday, that manager and players being away, and Brighton were obviously trying their best to get a result. I think you kind of saw what the difference in what it meant in the celebrations from Brighton really at the end of the game. Hinshaw with his goal and then Hurts at full time as well. For them, it's an opportunity to get into Europe still, isn't it? I know certain things have got to happen and they need a bit of luck for it to fall for them, but they were obviously very, very committed to winning the game. Whereas, like I said, Liverpool have basically been on an extended holiday, haven't they, since they won the title? So to make it a relatively even game, I thought. I mean, I know Brighton take 25 shots, but a lot from outside the box there. And Liverpool themselves manage 18 shots. XG is pretty even. Liverpool have 3 big chances, Brighton 2. And I think that kind of tallied with what we saw, really. I thought Brighton were good, dominated stage of the game, but I thought Liverpool kept creating chances all the way through. And if it had ended in a draw, I don't think that would have been unfair. And like I say, to go to Brighton, who are a very good side, and come away feeling like that when that Liverpool are not throwing everything on the line, are they, or completely committed to getting a result, then I actually don't think it's a bad performance in that context, to be honest.
No, and it did have the feeling, especially as the game went on, you have a go, we'll have a go, basketball style a little bit. But it made it entertaining on a Monday night. And we should talk about a few players. He's been honest, he didn't mean it, but it is an interesting hit from Szoboszlai. And probably the better question is, what did you think about his performance from a deeper number 8 position?
Yeah, I quite liked it, to be honest. I mean, obviously, you kind of take the goal out of it because he, like you say, he didn't mean it, and it's just one of those things, and you don't want to kind of judge the performance solely on that anyway. But I just thought it was one of the kind of more interesting aspects of the match, really. You see immediately what he can bring in that role when he pings that ball out to Bradley for the first goal. Absolutely brilliant. And then kind of generally his performance, some things to like, maybe some things not. I mean, he doesn't win a single tackle out of 4 attempts, which is interesting, but that's not really generally him either. He would tend to win more than that. I just think that was kind of, maybe that's a little bit of a freakish thing that's gone against him, and wins 5 out of 10 ground duels, which is not too bad at all. We know he's combative in there and gets about. He would generally have higher tackle stats, so he got stuck in. Absolutely, which suits him. Used his engine really well. Gets passes into the final third, which again is something he can do when he's in a deeper role. So we saw that aspect of his game. And I think when he's kind of not in that really advanced position where sometimes you think he just lacks a little bit of craft, doesn't he? He's not like really cute, like a Raquelme type or anything in the number 10 position. You take that out of his game when he's in the number 8 and just a little deeper. And he is, he said to Slot, didn't he, that he's more suited to that role. And I maybe tend to agree. And so, it's interesting. We don't exactly know how this summer is going to pan out for Liverpool, really, and exactly what they're going to end up with. But it's obviously something the manager wanted to take a look at for a specific reason, whether that's because maybe there's a number 10 that they want to fit into that position more frequently next season. Maybe it's, they just want to make Szoboszlai part of that deeper rotation in the rotation in the deeper positions because it might suit him better. It's just something that was worth having a look at, and I thought not perfect, but I thought some decent signs from him in there, and it could actually really suit him. So we'll see whether we see a bit more of that next season.
And it was a cracking ball for the opening goal where he puts it right across the pitch to Salah, who lays it off to Connor Bradley. And probably that's the one that it's right to talk about, Connor Bradley, because last night, did we almost see the whole range of what Connor Bradley is, as in absolutely brilliant assist, no two ways about it, but maybe defending for the first goal for Brighton a little bit suspect?
Yeah, I think probably one of those errors that you probably put down to a little bit of an inexperience, which again, it's why it's important maybe to give him as many games as possible in this run-in. And obviously, I still think, it's nothing we've never seen Trent or Andy Robertson do, just kind of switching off to the running side and not tracking it. But it's a good learning experience for him. And I mean, I know for a fact that that'll be one that Slot pulls out and has a look at with the coaches, because they do a lot of video analysis. He will be getting highlighted about that one. But yeah, decent learning opportunity. I thought generally, he does defend well, doesn't he? We're not worried about him getting skinned constantly or anything like that. He is a good one-on-one defender. It's maybe just that aspect he's got to work on, but he's generally very solid down that side. And then he's so good going forward as well. I mean, that was brilliant, wasn't it? Obviously the ball from Salah's fantastic. The ball from Szoboszlai is fantastic as well. But just the composure he shows in that moment through the legs, and then that extra touch he takes just kills another man, and then passing the ball and straight in. And I honestly, I can't rave about this kid enough. I think he's phenomenal. And I think, I saw a report this week that says that regardless of the signings that's going to be made there, that he should be first choice in next season. And I think you cannot disregard a player of that quality when they come to your academy. He's phenomenal. Even if he can stay fit, he has to start an awful lot of games for me next season. I really, really like Connor Bradley, and I thought, just the sheer quality. In fact, there's a statistic I saw earlier as well, which I just brought up there, that he's got the best minutes per assist ratio of any player who's made a certain amount of who's made 10 plus assists. So he's getting one every 282 minutes. So, to me, that just speaks to his quality, and I think he's a brilliant player, and we're going to see even more of him in the coming seasons.
We will. It feels like it'll be the summer for 84. We'll have to see what happens there. And another player that was on the end of Connor Bradley's assist, Harvey Elliott, and it almost has a similar tone. Did we see the best of Harvey Elliott, and he gets a goal and he gets an assist, but out of possession? There was struggles last night, wasn't there?
Yeah, he's just never going to be a great duel winner, is he? Because he's just the physical shortcomings that are there, and there's not a lot you can do about that when you're up against Brighton midfield. Generally through, it's got good duel winners, good physicality as well. And when he comes up against that, he struggles. But we know, what I liked about this performance and what was really good was that, he didn't show the best of himself in possession at Chelsea. And that was really disappointing for me, because I know he's got that quality there. But he did in this game. I think, obviously a goal and assist is not too bad for a number 10, is it at all? But I think he creates 4 chances, 3 shots as well. So, doing all the right things really to get yourself assists and goals. And he was a big part of Liverpool's play going forward. And his comments after were interesting, weren't they? In terms of what that means for him going forward, it doesn't look great. But I mean, I think that's a real shame, because I think there's a real player there. But I guess if the recruitment staff and the manager don't think that the weaknesses can be covered up sufficiently, or that they're too busy mitigating for others' weaknesses, e.g., McAllister's not the tallest, for example. If you put him and Harvey in the same team, that becomes a problem. Then maybe that's part of the thinking that he's not going to get loads more opportunities next season. But I mean, if there's other clubs looking at him, which I know for a fact there are other clubs looking at him, they've got to see the quality he's got. He's a very, very good young player, and I mean, he is still so young. He's 22, can get even better. I just think he's going to go on. If it's not at Liverpool, he's going to go on and have a very, very good career.
Yeah, and given the due, the goal and assist last night, but whatever happens, he had an impact. And one player that it'll get ignored because 3 went in his goal, but Alisson Becker was probably man of the match again last night, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's so good, isn't he? He's absolutely ridiculous, really, some of the saves he made. And, Brighton did have 25 shots, which is crazy. So you need your goalkeeper to play well when that's the case. I think 12 on target, maybe. And a few of those from outside the box and got little nicks. But he did make a couple of really good saves in there as well from one-on-one situations. And, yeah, there's absolutely no doubt over how good he is. And, I mean, it's funny, really, because we were talking a few months ago when maybe his form wasn't the greatest when he first came back, and maybe he was talk about his kind of XG versus his actual goals prevented kind of going on a slight slide recently. But I think he's roared back into form in the last part of this season. And one thing I think we did say would be ideal for next season, because we expect Kelleher to go, is that Alisson sticks around and you have Mamardashvili at least for one season to just be the number 2 and get used to things and really fit himself in. So, that would be the hope, because at the moment, Alisson is quite clearly, isn't he, the best goalkeeper in the world. And another game yesterday where he shows that, and more proof that, as long as he's happy, and I believe that to be the case, then, he should stick around for another season at the very least. And that's always really good news for Liverpool.
Yeah, it's great to say we shipped 3, but he was absolutely brilliant last night. And one player, I mean, we know Mo Salah's chasing records. That's all he's really got left to chase now. He will be absolutely haunted by that miss yesterday, wouldn't he?
Yeah, it's just not him either, is it? It's like he's very. He must have been watching Darwin in training a little bit, but it's very, very surprising that he missed it. I mean, he'll probably be more. I mean, he would have loved to score, but he'd probably be more fuming that he cannot seem to get an assist in these last few games. It's just not happening for him, which is unfortunate. But yeah, a poor miss for him. And he's having a kind of quiet end to the season, isn't he? But I mean, if anyone's earned that, this guy is, I don't see single-handedly taking Liverpool to the title, because you don't want to do down what everybody else has done. But he's been the key man in all of this, really. And the fact that Liverpool streaked away from everybody else because they had a forward who's performing at a level that nobody else had. So, you can forgive him one of these from time to time, I guess. But it rarely ever happens.
And, we'll be giving it everything on Palace to try and get as many records as he can. And a forward that was alongside him last night, Federico Chiesa. I see the mixed reactions on social media with him, because people, and I get this, he plays a brilliant pass for Salah. It was sensational, and that was a good moment. But at the same time, I'm watching this, and I just thought it just looked a bit too physical and fast for him at times. What did you think about him last night?
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, you don't want to be too harsh, because it's not surprising when he comes in for his first Premier League start of the season at this point of the season that he's not, absolutely flying and playing well. So it wasn't really a big surprise, and you don't want to judge him too harshly. But clearly, I mean, the fact he hasn't started for so long, it's obviously down to what's going on in training. He's obviously kind of looking at this similar level and not quite getting there. So, and it just was not a great performance. I think I have the numbers kind of embedded in my head from last night's YouTube video, but I think 12 touches, 5 passes, 1 shot, lost 7 out of 8 duels. So they're not fantastic numbers, are they, really, particularly if you're coming in and you need to impress. And I just think it's quite obvious, despite, the manager may say that, he might have a chance for next season, but I don't believe him, if I'm honest. I just, Chiesa is not going to want to stick around and sit on the bench for another season when there will be interest in him from Italy. And clearly Slot is not that fussed about using him at all. So I just think it's one of those, it was an opportunistic signing that hasn't worked out. It was worth a punt. Liverpool will probably make the money back, and everyone shakes hands and he goes, and with a Premier League winners medal, and he goes as well, very much liked by everyone who's at Liverpool, because he's, everyone kind of, it's not a personal problem. Let's say that he's a good guy who has got his head down and worked hard, but it just, unfortunately for him, hasn't worked out. And that can happen in football.
Yeah, and I think most people are expecting the same thing this summer, but we'll have to see. And the final one around, team selection and what Arne Slot gave away, because the real Cal Jones there asked about Jota injured or left out. And I suppose the second part of that, because it's right to talk about Jota, but Alexis McAllister in the news, he won't play a single minute to have a rest into next season. So it's worth asking you about those two players.
Yeah, McAllister out for the season. What a blow that is. But yeah, he obviously won't be playing in the Crystal Palace game. By the sounds of things, it sounds like he's been playing with something, a little something he's been kind of managing through, which, what a warrior to do that. And footballers do this a lot, by the way. It's, they're pretty incredible, really, for putting themselves on the pitch when others maybe wouldn't. So fair play to him for that. And a good idea to give him a rest, because I think he's got some internationals over the summer. But yeah, give this guy, he's put everything into this season, hasn't he? And his work rate's been incredible. So, and he's been running to the ground a little bit. So great to see he's getting a little bit of an early holiday in and some relaxation time, because he's bloody earned it, no doubt about that. And with Jota, I saw the Echo reporting, and I wasn't down there at Brighton yesterday, so obviously I can't stand this up personally, but they will have checked this. So suggesting that it wasn't an injury again, he was maybe rested. So again, not a bad idea really. So it's good that these choices can be made, because there's just nothing riding on the games whatsoever.
Yeah, no risk at all. And I know you've mentioned it because people want to see us win. I get that, even though it doesn't mean anything. You saw what the travelling cop thought of the whole thing last night. But resting players for next season, there should be a benefit to that, shouldn't there?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is the thing. It's not necessarily the resting even for McAllister now or whatever. It's more kind of the fact that they're just spending time on holiday every week. I mean, it's such a benefit, in comparison to training. They have basically. So what would usually happen is kind of the players would go away at the end of the season and get 3 weeks holiday. Then they come back for pre-season. Liverpool have turned that into 4, 5, 6, really, because they won the league so early. So that will all help, like, recharge the batteries. I mean, they're going to be roaring into pre-season, and particularly when you consider Manchester City have got to go in the Club World Cup. That, horrendous thought for them. International tournament coming at the end of next season as well. It's going to be helpful for Liverpool, and I think it might be helpful to the way that they start next season as well. So that's really, really handy for Liverpool, because if they can make a kind of similar start to the one they did this year, that was exactly what won them the league, basically. So they're going to have a bit more freshness, I'd suspect, than some of the title rivals. And that's one of the huge benefits of winning the league early. And I wrote a piece on Substack absolutely ages ago about Slot being big on days off, and he's gone into overdrive on that front since the league was won. But it's a sensible move. And you look at the injury record that Liverpool have had this season compared to the one prior, and the availability generally has been very, very good. And it's obviously down to the fact that he respects that having time off is massive.
Yeah, who'd have thought that weeks in Ibiza and Dubai could benefit in the long run? But we'll see what happens next season. Before we get to next season, the buzz at the moment is, of course, transfers and contracts. It's probably right to start at the exit door, potential outgoings, because Harvey Elliott's comments, which you alluded to yesterday, were quite illuminating, maybe, the way you said it. So for those that have missed it, as it says on the screen there, he was asked about his future. He said, "It's about what's best for my career. It's about reflecting and seeing what I can do. I'm here at the moment and I'm focusing on the final game." That wasn't quite the interview from 3 weeks ago of "I'm going to fight for my place." Is there a sense of resignation a little bit in these comments?
Just has the feel, doesn't it, of kind of conversations behind the scene and kind of realization of what's really going to happen there, and whether the opportunities are going to open up for them at all. It's very, very hard to see things getting better for him, isn't it? Unfortunately, in terms of playing time, and obviously if that's the case, he like he says, he's got to make the best decision for his career, which is possibly to go elsewhere and give up on the Liverpool thing and make a name for himself elsewhere, because he's good enough to do it as well. This is the thing, I said, I'm so big on him as a player, and I just really hope something can kind of, if he does have to leave this summer, that he gets a decent move, because he does absolutely deserve it. And it's just a shame it's working out this way, but it doesn't. I just can't see how Slot changes his mind on the player from here, really, and it works itself out. So it does look much more likely now that he is going to depart at the end of the season. Hopefully we get a chance to speak to him in the mix zone on Sunday and get a bit more clarity on what's happening in his future. But with so much interest in him and his place in the squad being so uncertain, it just wouldn't be a shock now, would it, that if he were to leave this summer, which is, as I say, a bit sad, really.
Yeah, it'll be one we're watching for on last day reactions to see how he is. And another player that I don't want to be too harsh on him actually, so I won't go too much into it, but it's right to ask you. Jurel Quanza always just seems at the scene of the crime. Maybe, they always say if you don't be good, be lucky. And it doesn't really seem to be either this season for Jurel Quanza. And, he plays the attacker on side last night. Is he another one a lot of people are mentioning today you think could be a live departure potentially?
Yeah, definitely. It's a possibility, you would say, because again, he's another one who's got big interest in him from decent sized clubs. And one thing as well that would drive it more than the Harvey Elliott thing is I think Quanza is more minded to go and play more frequently, a bit more kind of determined around that than Harvey, who I think would probably do another year really and would stay a little longer if he had the opportunity. I don't think that, I think Jurel Quanza, if he got a decent move, would be keen on taking it. So, that's an aspect that makes it interesting. I do think, and I say this a lot, but I do think Liverpool will want to manage turnover a little bit. You don't suddenly want to be signing kind of 2 centre halves and 2 midfielders and 3 forwards and all, because you have to and you force yourself into that situation. So there could be a situation where a few of these who you think are candidates for going don't go in the end, just so they, don't give themselves too much to do. And maybe Quanza does one more year against his will, and maybe Harvey Elliott even somehow snatches another year out of it. We will have to kind of see. It's very hard to judge how the market will go. But yeah, they are definitely 2. Quanza you put in there 100% as someone who's big doubts over his future at Liverpool going into this summer, which again, you think back to 12 months ago, I mean, that kind of feels mad to say it, but it's definitely the case, yeah.
Crazy that there's just so many that have got uncertain futures, but the main excitement for people is naturally what's coming the other way, and the one we're waiting for, Jeremy Frimpong. This does feel like we're almost waiting for the announcement more than anything at the moment, and it's been a lively week for yourself around this one as well, hasn't it? It's fair to say.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's worth talking about this because it's absolutely insane, really. I mean, I want, as a starting point, I want to say I don't actually think what went on social media was an accurate reflection of what I was saying. If I'd have ruled him out completely, then fair enough, but I didn't. I know in our conversation I said that the move is there for Liverpool if they want it. I just personally don't think they will maybe go down that route, and I want to, let's be fair, I got that wrong, that aspect of it, giving my opinion there. I got that opinion wrong because clearly it was much further up the list than I thought with the that Liverpool had him, so I misjudged that. What I would say is I don't think I've misjudged many in my career, and so I don't think I'm necessarily deserved the stick for it. But, to give you kind of an insight into how these things work is that obviously as journalists, we are close to the club. We get to go to the games. We get to be at the training ground. We know people in and around the club. We're very fortunate to do that. But we're never in the room with Richard Hughes. We're never in the room with the players in the dressing room. We're never there when the manager says this, that, or the other. So you are always reliant on secondhand information. Now, what part of the job is kind of gathering that secondhand information and trying to work out who's telling the truth and where the truth kind of lies in the situation. So is the agent bigging this up to me because he wants to get his client linked to Liverpool and he wants to make a bigger thing of it than it is? Are the club lying to me because they want to keep it under wraps? These are the kind of judgment calls you have to make. So you're never going to be, no matter how nailed on your sources are, you're never going to be certain because, like I said, you're not in the room with them. And as good as your sources are, who they may never let you down, something might go wrong in that process. So around this transfer in particular was kind of an element of a lot of talk coming from the players' side and not a lot coming from the club side, and maybe a bit of playing down. And to the degree that it was to such the extent that I've seen this so many times and been told I've been wrong about it, that there's not really, he's maybe been on the list, but it's not been a massive target. And so I just kind of shared that opinion because I felt that reflected on what I've learned, my experiences, what I've seen in the past. And even then in saying that, as I say, I said, but I still think the move's there for Liverpool. They have watched him. He's homegrown. He's versatile. He's quirky. So much to like about, and he's cheap. And so there's so much to like about the move. So I wouldn't rule it out. But it obviously got taken out of there, turned into whatever, and turned into some of the most grim abuse that I've seen really in my time. I mean, I would say a lot of people message me really nice things. So thank you so much to the people who did that. It's really, really kind. And I really, really needed that in that time. But yeah, social media was a bit of a hellhole for me for over the weekend, really. And one thing I would say about that as a final point on it, really, is that like I think people think when you get a few thousand followers on Twitter or YouTube or whatever, that like all of a sudden you've got this bulletproof ego and you can't be hurt. And it's like, if you get hundreds of strangers saying horrible things to you online, it makes you feel horrible. I am just a normal fella. I don't have this bulletproof ego. When people say nasty things to me, it really hurts my feelings, like, because it would to anyone, really. So, yeah, I didn't love that at all. And I, like, it's one part of the job I just don't enjoy at all. And it makes you so reluctant as well then to, like, I got the story yesterday about Trent being in the squad, and I'm like, again, I know that source is never wrong, and I know they would never let me down. They'd never intentionally mislead me. And I knew that story was absolutely right. And I'm panicking putting the story out because I'm like, my confidence is shot. And it's like, you want to kind of ask people, you know, do you want me to give my honest take on things and my experience and things and what I know? And maybe, you know, in podcasting, a relaxed environment, maybe share stuff that's not absolutely 100% nailed on that I maybe wouldn't write, but it's in a conversational environment and therefore I feel safe to do it. And I did it, and I just, like, there was no upside to it. It was just getting hammered. So, you know, it was just awful, basically. And I just, don't want that to happen again, really. But like I said, I don't want to focus on it too much. I know there's always mean people online, but there's some really, I got some really nice messages in there as well. So thank you to everyone who did that. But yeah, the other people, just leave me alone for a bit now. That'd be great.
Well, there's just a whole summer to go, all the way through to August, of the different rumours. And the next name on the docket, this, I may be wrong on this, but this feels red hot. It feels like this week it's almost accelerated, Milos Kirkez. And I think Bournemouth can still, by some weird and wacky way, I don't know if it is that's still the case, get Europe. But it almost feels like they play City tonight. Maybe if that doesn't go the way, this could accelerate. But this does feel another red hot name at the moment, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've said for a while he's definitely on the list. It's just a case of if he's the one at the end I'm going for. I mean, I don't have any personal information on kind of club to club talks now, or that kind of ongoing. But obviously that's the rumor that's doing the rounds at the minute. So maybe they are moving forward with that one. And yeah, lots to like about the player. There's a reason Liverpool like him. Only small question mark is kind of attacking output, but I mean, they obviously think he can make that leap, and they're so good at judging whether they're able to do that. Players, Liverpool recruitment staff seems to be able to kind of predict the future at times, really, with this sort of stuff. So, if they like him, I think it's good enough to think that he's good. He's going to be good enough in that aspect, and I think all the other elements of his game, so pacey, really good in duels, and just up and down constantly, like full of energy, and he's young and will get even better. So I think a potentially really exciting signing. I know kind of question marks over the fee, but if it nails down that position for a certain number of years, then it's worth it. And also, Liverpool have made so many savings in other positions in recent years, so many bargains, that if you have to go over the top a little bit for one that is going to solve a problem for you in the long term, then hey, why not go for it?
Yeah, I suppose if he signs and Frimpong signs, people have looked at this and thought there's pace and a half on the flanks, but who's doing the defending? But it does feel like it, and we're expecting both to arrive by the sounds of it. Doesn't half make it exciting from fullback, does it?
Yeah, it's a lot of pace, isn't it? Yeah. So again, clearly that's kind of an idea they have about how you move this team forward, is to get more pace in the team. I think it's something we kind of have felt, everyone who's watched Liverpool this season, really, is this team could probably do with a little injection of pace. So those two would certainly bring it. Whether they'll get used in the same team or not at times, we'll kind of have to see, and what that rotation at right back looks like. But it's it pace, really, speed does kill, doesn't it? So that's going to be really exciting. And you combine the idea of those two, if it does end up being Kirkez, then with what else is possibly to come. It's really, really exciting, and they're building from a very strong base as well, which is obviously a team that was good enough to win the league this season.
I mean, it's crazy. We're talking about two exciting, pacey fullbacks arriving at Anfield, and it ain't even the biggest story, is it? It isn't even the one that people are watching with intent at the moment. You know, we're going to talk about Florian Wirtz and potential that Manchester City have now dropped out the race. So it does feel like Liverpool and unfortunately Bayern Munich, who are the rumoured favourites for this as well. But it is important to say this isn't some smokescreen, PR, all the normal things we've seen on social media. Liverpool are right in for Florian Wirtz, aren't they?
Yeah, 100%. That's my understanding. Is as I understand it, within the last couple of days or so, it was said to me that look, they still feel on the Liverpool side that Bayern are favourites, and Leverkusen, he may even do another year at Leverkusen, so they kind of expect him to stay in Germany at the moment. But if there's any sniff that he wants to come to the Premier League, they want to be there and they want to be in for him. They're willing to pay big money to get him in. They're willing to match the wages, all these aspects of it. But it all just kind of comes down to the player's decision. And I know there's kind of a rumour mill is just in overdrive about it, and this, that, and the other, and everyone's having to say. But I do think in these situations, a lot of the time, you just can't kind of get in the player's head, can you, and know what he's thinking. But the only thing we can be certain of is that if there's a Premier League move that he favours in the end, then Liverpool are going to be in the mix for him, which is incredibly exciting. And it looks like if he does choose the Premier League, it will be Liverpool as well, because City, by all accounts, have pulled out the race as well. So that leaves it a little bit more open. But of course, the big worry is Bayern and whether he decides to go there. And, I'm not sure how they're doing kind of money-wise and whether they're okay to go for the big package. I did see rumours, which I can't stand up myself, that they would be cheaper for a club outside the Bundesliga as well. So that's interesting. And I don't think Leverkusen have sold many players to Bayern in recent years as well. So again, they clearly don't want him to go there, I would think. So, hopefully that can work in Liverpool's favour. But as I say, we don't know what's in the player's head, and he will, essentially it's going to be down to him, isn't it? He's going to be able to force a move to Bayern if he does want it, whether Bayer Leverkusen want it or not. So, let's see what happens, and let's hope he chooses Liverpool.
Fingers crossed. It also feels like we won't have to wait too long to find out potentially. So we'll see what that brings. And then the final one I wanted to ask you, a name that everyone wanted to come in the mix has now started to come in the mix in the form of Crystal Palace's Adam Wharton. And Liverpool, apparently, as it says they're monitoring the situation, famous words. Heard anything on this one at all?
No, personally not, outside of I've known that they've liked Wharton for a long time. I feel like you've willed this into existence, by the way, that this is a possibility, because I know you are so big on Adam Wharton. I mean, I am myself. I think he's an absolutely fabulous player, which is why I can't understand that 60 million fee that's being touted at the moment. I would have thought it would have honestly been, almost 100 million for him. He's that good of a player. He's homegrown as well. He's got a long time left on his Palace contract. So kind of surprised that he would be available for that amount. But by all accounts, that is the case. And it wouldn't surprise me if Liverpool were in the mix at that price, because it's much more reasonable than would have been expected. Yeah. And they loved him at Blackburn, but just didn't kind of make that leap to sign him. They thought he probably could have done with a move to a Crystal Palace or something like that. But obviously he's gone there and gone from strength to strength, and there's no doubt in his quality now. And I don't doubt for a second, if he's on the market at that amount, that Liverpool will at the very least be considering it. It's just about kind of decisions to make for them in terms of what the midfield looks like going forward, and how you fit all these options in together and give everyone sufficient game time. But he's a fantastic player, and one I would absolutely love to see Liverpool sign.
Yeah, it would be an unbelievable signing. So if the universe is listening, you know what to do. We'll see what happens with transfers and everything else. But I mean, it is crazy to say the last day of the season is coming up on Sunday. And just for those that didn't see it last night or didn't hear it at all, let's just have a listen to the travelling cop enjoying themselves. I mean, there was only a few thousand, but they were loud, they were raucous last night. Anfield is going to be electric on Sunday, isn't it?
Yeah, I had someone on comments on my YouTube video about the match last night, and he said, "I just feel for the fans who travelled down there to watch this." And I thought you mustn't have seen them at full time because it just looked like they're having the best time, really. So, this is great. I mean, these are all the things that Liverpool supporters missed out on, didn't they? The last time Liverpool won the league, and to have it again where they've wrapped it up early and they actually do get all those little mini parties along the way has been fantastic, really, and hard earned over these last 35 years. So, do soak up every second of it. But of course, the big one's coming on Sunday, and what a privilege it's going to be there. I know you'll be there as well. So much looking forward to that. It's a day you kind of have thought about for 3 decades. I know I've thought about this day for my entire life, thinking about the sun being out at Anfield, walking up to the ground, what that's going to feel like, what the mood around the place is going to be like, and what it's going to be like to see a Liverpool captain on the pitch lifting the trophy. It's just it's phenomenal, really, isn't it? So yeah, can't wait to get in the ground. And it even adds to it, doesn't it, that the Crystal Palace fans are going to be in celebratory mood. I kind of hope they bring the FA Cup as well, and we can kind of have a joint party together. I don't think anybody would be against that. So it's going to be a special atmosphere. Can't wait to get in there.
It's going to be brilliant. And we'll deal with the potential negative quickly, because it was interesting that for last night's game as well, Endo came on at right back. Do you think a certain player might not see the light of day in a red shirt again?
Yeah, I thought that was a sensible decision from Slot, to be honest. I kind of like what he's done, really, in that it would be silly to, I would have advocated for it, but you think about it, completely, excluding Trent from the squad and that has won this league title, is that really fair? Even for the people who are really absolutely dislike him, I don't know. You're in that professional environment. You're the manager. You worked with him day in, day out, and you respect his decision. And your emotions are not quite as high. From his perspective, it probably would be crazy to leave him out of the squad. So taking him to Brighton, okay, absolutely fine. But not then kind of subjecting him to the booze by not bringing him on. I thought that was a smart move, really. And I think that will probably be the approach at Anfield, really, in that, he wasn't getting too much stick when he was warming up as a substitute, was he? And I don't think anybody's going to want to sour the mood by absolutely getting stuck into him if he does that. And, as long as he doesn't take to the pitch and it doesn't become a point of focus where everybody's looking at him on the sidelines and some will boo then, I think it's best to leave him off the pitch, really, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, to have him as part of the squad, and then, of course, he can be part of the celebrations, and I'm sure he'll be a low-key part of those, if I'm honest, which is sad, but it's just how it plays out, really, and yeah, it's unfortunate that this is how it is.
What will be fortunate is, I think maybe it's just brilliant that it is Crystal Palace who've just won the FA Cup, like you said. I mean, apart from Mo Salah, I don't even think their fans will care about the game or their players too much, will they, in all honesty?
No, it's probably going to be high scoring, I think, because, like I said, not too many people putting the bodies on the line or trying to prevent goals. But do you know what? I'm so pleased for Palace as well. I know a lot of people have kind of expressed this sentiment, but there's a reason everybody's got a lot of affection for them, because they're just an absolutely class club. Like, so much to like about them. Brilliant academy. They've always got South London lads in the team, so the team is representative of the area that they come from. Brilliant fan base who never come to Anfield and sing about poverty. They support the team. The atmosphere at Selhurst and that Homesdale end where they've got the ultras there is always fantastic. It's one of the last old school grounds in the Premier League as well. And it just is of its place as well. And they're a good team to watch as well. And they've got a great manager and likable lads in that team as well. So really smartly put together. So you just got to admire them for like a million reasons. And to see them, so pleased, not just because you want to see City get beat in a final, but I was just so pleased for them to get that moment and to celebrate. And I hope they soak up every second of that, because I mean, that's first major trophy in their entire history, which for a club of
crazy.
I've always thought of them as a top club, so it's incredible, really. So yeah, really pleased them, and I hope I hope they're in party mode at Anfield on Sunday as well, and both sets of players will be, and everyone enjoys it. And yeah, if they could just let Liverpool sneak a 4-3 win or something, so everybody gets something from it, that would be great. But yeah, good on Palace. I wanted to say that because they're just a great club.
And I suppose, I don't know, if anything's riding on this game or of interest, are we more watching at full time who we feel is saying goodbye or crying, those types of things? That will be one to watch, won't it, as well?
Yeah, definitely. I think so. I think, you're kind of going to keep an eye on those fringe players who this might be the last game. I think, Elliot's an obvious one. Maybe will we speak to him after the game and get a bit more clarity on that one? Kostas Tsimikas, Quanza, Endo's another one. There's a few in there, isn't there? Obviously, Darwin Núñez, we very much expect it to be his final game. Chiesa, there's so many question marks through this entire squad. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see which ones do, because they do usually give you a little sign as well, don't they, that they're going to go. Joe Gomez is another one, really in doubt coming into this summer. So let's kind of see what happens really in terms of that. And it is, like I say, there's usually signs there, so it could be interesting actually to kind of keep an eye on the players as they say, wave to the crowd at the end and do the lap of honour.
Yeah, we'll be keeping a close eye on that one. And even though it's not at the ground, I tell you what, especially if City win tonight, although if they drew tonight and there were 4 teams on 66, that would be incredible. I mean, I've asked you this before, and I don't say anything with any confidence on this. Are you still steering towards Forest and Chelsea being the 2 that miss out?
Yeah, I kind of. I quite like Forest to sneak in there. I just like anyone to get in at Chelsea's expense, if I'm honest. But yeah, it's interesting and it's hard to call. And I think the fact that Nottingham Forest are playing Chelsea, I think that really hurts Chelsea. Like I think Carragher said similar actually last night. It's so hard to envisage Chelsea going there and winning on the last day when, the atmosphere is going to be insane. Forest are playing for something because obviously they could sneak in there at the last. Sneak in there. I'm saying that they're basically nearly level on points, so they're in the mix firmly. So it's going to be absolutely fascinating. I'll be keeping an eye on that partly because there's nothing riding on the Liverpool game as well. So it's going to be really, really interesting. But like I said, my one aim from that is for Chelsea to miss out, because I just think the way they are run is terrible, and it would be bad for football if they snuck in, because they're not very good either. So I'm quite invested in that, if I'm honest.
Will be interesting to see what happens there. And to finish, last question, because it's about us on the final day. Is the final day for you a case of do the report, absorb the atmosphere, do the match videos and everything as normal, and then just go and enjoy it like a proper fan?
Yeah, exactly. So get down to the mix zone, get my video done, all that, file on the full-time whistle, get my video done, and kind of stick around for the trophy lift. Like you say, little lines like try and keep an eye on whether players are looking emotional or particularly emotional or anything like that. Trying to just keep an eye on stuff like that, and then mix zone, see what the manager says, and then get out there as soon as possible and meet up with mates, hopefully, and have a couple of beers to celebrate it. Because, like I said, this is, kind of one of the things one of the things that everybody's been dreaming of, and same for reporters. You want to report on a Premier League winning team, and you want to see what this is going to be like with all the trophy list, but you want to go and celebrate it as well with the people who've been on the journey with you. So, very, very much looking forward to that aspect. So if we can get things wrapped up as soon as possible, that would be lovely as well.
Fingers crossed. But either way, hopefully the sun is shining. It is going to be some day at Anfield when Virgil van Dijk lifts the trophy. All it leaves me to say as ever is, David, for the insight, the time, and answering all the questions as ever, it is much appreciated.
Thanks for having me.
And ladies and gents, that was another Media Matters